What's up, guys? Intellitech Studios here, and today we are doing another episode of Vacuum Saved. And don't worry, I know it seems like there's not very many here, but there's at least 2 more Vacuum Saves to come very soon. But I wanted to kind of start small, work my way up. So, this particular edition will feature 4 machines, 3 of them made by Bissell. Yes, not 2, 3 of them are made by Bissell. And then one of them is related to the other one, because, yeah. So, starting off, here's a Bissell Power Clean 1-pass that I got a while ago and did a few videos on. I got this at a Goodwill for $5, and the only thing that it needed was a good cleaning and some attachments. It had the turbo brush, but it was missing the dusting brush extension and the crevice tool. So, in addition to installing new filters, new belt, and cleaning up the machine, the only cost I have into it besides the $5 for the machine is the filters that I ordered and the belts and attachments that I already had. So thankfully it's pretty decent in that regard. Now this one I'm going to do a full review on very soon. I've used it for a few mess tests and some dust did leak through, so it sounds a little funky right now, unfortunately, but it is still fully functional. And the rewind on it does work perfectly. Also, let me know if you'd love to see a video comparing this to the Elite Rewind, because I think that might be an interesting comparison, as these both were out at the same time. And look at that, the chair is gone, so we actually have access to this outlet, which is interesting. So, yeah, and I guess I'll show it real quick, because again, I've been using this, so you can see what it looks like, a couple months after I cleaned it up. So there's the filter, which is loose because it's an aftermarket filter. So there's that. And then this button is really stiff for whatever reason. But there's that. It's dirty at the moment because I've been using it. Yeah, it's gross. Bagless. Yuck. Alright. And we can see there is small amount of dust in there, not too bad actually. But motor sounds a little off balance from what I remember. But because it sounded good after I fixed it and put new filters in it, and now it sounds a little weird again. But yeah, for $5, I'm not going to complain. Again, I had an extra extension wand and crevice tool laying around and dusting brush, so there must have been some new machine that I pulled these off at one point, and I don't remember. But either way, of course the rewinds sounds kind of rough, but again, $5 for an entire vacuum. Can you really complain? So this particular one was made January 15th of 2014, so it just turned 11 not too long ago, 11 and a half, so pretty decent, I'll say. Not too bad. Funnily enough, there was another more basic model at my local thrift store, but I actually decided not to pick it up because I already have one of those that I bought brand new back when they were still available. So this one is the fancy one with the rewind, and then I've got the original model that still stays relatively new, although I did use it for a big job when I first got it, if you guys remember that video. The model I'm referring to is the 9595A model. That was Cleanview branded. This one's Power Clean branded because, of course, as you know, different stores had different names for machines that were the same for some reason. So, yeah, a bit scratched up and a bit worn. But, who cares? It still works. And the belt in it is still good from the new one that I put in, obviously, not the original. So, yeah, we'll give this a bit of a run. And yeah, should be good. Oops. Trying to put this in the cord clip is kind of tricky, so we'll just do that. Yeah, so it does have a little bit of a kind of a whine to it, but $5, can't complain too much. So, you know, that's the thing. This is one of the quietest Bissells they made. So even with the bearings being kind of rough, or whatever that is, whether it's the bearings of the fan, I don't know. I don't feel like opening it again. Still, still runs just fine. And as you can see, this rewind works a lot better than on the more basic models, both from back then and today. So I don't mind having it around. I did have a model just like this that was after they downgraded the 12 amp motor to an 8 amp motor with the bigger window. It had a lot more purple on it. It was the one that I got as a closeout from my Big Lots many years ago before they closed. So, but that one I ended up selling on. But this one I like better anyways. And next, we've got a really nice find. This was from a Goodwill, by the way, if I didn't mention that. So this one, I can't believe I forgot to show this in a Vacuum Save video. But I got this from a good friend of mine who had, like, it was a weird story because, like, he offered to give this to me, like, 2 years prior, and I legit completely forgot about it because I was like, hey, you don't have to do that, don't worry about it. And then he was like, hey, I still have it, I can't find anyone who wants it, I'll ship it to you. And I was like, okay. I was like, can I give you $20 or something? And he's like, nah, don't worry about it. And I'm like, okay. So he just sent it for some reason. I don't know why. Again, I offered to pay him, so I don't know what the deal is. But either way, he ended up sending it. This was a number of months ago, by the way. This was probably, I want to say January, February, roughly. And Post Office lost it. I don't know how they lost something this big, but it took like an extra 2 weeks to get here at the time. And I did a video of this back when I got it, so you could fact check all this if I got a detail wrong or two. But in general, it's really nice because it's the exact same machine as my Powerglide Platinum, but this one is the version that's branded as PowerTrack, and someone told me it's also a slightly darker red, which I never noticed before, but apparently it's ever so slightly darker, like more of a maroon than like a wine color of the Powerglide Platinum. I don't know, it looks the same to me. So, yeah, and this one is an older model, I think, because I know my Powerglide Platinum is from 2010. I forgot when this one was from. I want to say 2004. Yeah, 2004. So this one's like one of the earliest examples of this type of machine, and the Powerglide Platinum. So I basically have like the oldest version and the newest version of the same machine, just like with my DC33. So that's pretty interesting. Again, I haven't quite figured out what the distribution differences were between these two machines, so if anyone has any info, let me know. But yeah, so it's functionally identical to the Powerglide Platinum. Presumably the idea of this is that it would have been like the base model of like the PowerTrack Revolution, maybe, which I believe came out around the same time. But this was just, doesn't have the Revolution because it's the bagged model and it's not a clean view, so that's my understanding of it. But yeah, so it's quite nice. Of course, and this is really stuck, but of course I always plug the Clean Ferry HEPA bags, so can't go wrong with that. And of course these never like to shut gracefully, but there is a HEPA filter in there. I don't remember if it came with it or if I put it in there, but either way, HEPA media filter. Headlight works, I think. Brush roll's in good shape. No issues. These yellow brush rolls are impossible to find now, so that's why I never daily drive one of these, because if these brush rolls melt, which these Bissells have a horrible habit of those brush rollers melting, then you can't really do much. You can put a new brush roll in it, but it's not going to match. And it's got everything. I think these are all the attachments it came with. I can't remember. I know it came with, I think it did come with all the attachments, but I can't remember. But I think it has the wrong crevice tool on it, which is funny because my Powerglide Platinum is supposed to have this crevice tool, I think, but it has the one that this one would have came with the holes in the notch. So I think they're backwards, funnily enough. it doesn't really matter. But yeah, it's interesting. So this one we're gonna plug in and turn on, and it doesn't have the wear mark from where I sanded the top of my Powerglide Platinum, because I thought back when I was a kid, I thought that Magic Eraser would take care of it. Well, I guess I wasn't a kid, but I was still stupid. Might be able to polish it out on the Platinum, but this one doesn't have that. You can see it's still nice and shiny. You can see my phone reflection in there, which is also a nice burgundy color on the S22 Ultra. So, all right, we're gonna plug this in. Enough ranting about this. This machine obviously has gotten videos before, and will continue to get many others, because these are kind of what are the best on the channel. Get this Dyson out of the way. This terrible outlet that isn't pushed against the wall all the way. All right. Now for the power track. Oh, wow. Damn, I need to replace that belt. I don't, now that I think about it, I think he told me when he gave it to me that it needed a belt, and I think I just forgot to replace it. So that's still the same belt in there. And it shows you how much I've used this thing. Because I think I went to go use it once, and I saw the belt was loose, and I was like, I don't feel like replacing the belt right now, and I just put it back upstairs. Yeah, so I'll probably do that soon. It does, and it's got the classic Bissell sound. It's a little bit loud, but it sounds better than my Powerglide Platinum for sure. The motor sounds a bit healthier, because my Powerglide Platinum has a strange whine to it. But yeah, so that's the power track. Alright, next and the least interesting of these four machines is this Dyson Ball Animal 2. But the interesting thing is that this came all the way from Denver, Colorado, as this came from Alex, known as Performance Reviews, and so did that Clear Track, which we'll get to in a sec. But yeah, so this machine was a machine that he was about to just throw away, and we did a bunch of videos on a bunch of different machines, and those are going to come out at some point. And this was one of the machines that I worked on, and well, I guess both of us did. And it's pretty interesting, because I mean, it works. It just is really dirty and needs clean still, but we did fix the power head, as that was the main issue. And I got it because, well, he was going to throw it away, and well, it's a good working machine, and I hate to see that go away, especially because there's Dysons I need parts from. So heck, even if this thing did die, I can just steal a bunch of parts off it, like the handle and the wand and the hose and etc. So yeah, it smells awful, but it does function. Just needs cleaned. So yeah. Yeah, so it smells bad, and I forgot. I think a couple of the screws I took out of the. I think a couple of screws I took out of the cleaner head because they were stripped. But I think I have another cleaner head I can pull screws out of. I think. So this will get its own video, even though I'm sure nobody cares because it's another Animal too. But just for fun, it'll get its own video, for sure. Also, this is a crevice tool for some sort of handheld Dyson, but I believe it does. Yeah, it does still fit. So, I mean, it does work, but it's, you know, for a different Dyson. So, still pretty interesting. You know, it is fully working. It's just they obviously dropped it off to Alex's store because it needed work, and they didn't want to put the work into it, and they gave up and bought something else, which is fair, I guess. But I mean, this thing obviously was more than capable of being repaired. There wasn't anything outwardly wrong with it. Just maintenance, you know. Cleaner head bunched up with a bunch of gunk and makes some noise. Things squeals from the filters, which I took the HEPA filter out already and threw it away. As you can see, a bunch of buildup on the shroud, which the owner never took care of. People just don't ever take care of these things, and they wonder why they break. And this one, you know, at its oldest or at its newest, is 5 years old. So, like, you know, still lasted 5 years. And again, it's not like it stopped. It's still working perfectly. The motor doesn't have any problems. So, just needs some work. And he technically gave this to me for free, but he, you know, wanted $30 for the ClearTrack. I was more than happy to buy it off him. So I just gave him 40, you know, so that way I gave him basically 10 for this, in addition to the 30 for that, because, well, he was trying to give me to take a bunch of other machines, but my rental car did not have the space. So that's that. But either way, I did rescue a Dyson from the trash heap in Colorado, so I'm content with that. And on to the ClearTrack, a far more interesting machine. And now for a machine that I had a long time ago, but I'm finally happy to get another one. This is the Amway ClearTrack, currently known as the WMJ Workhorse. And yeah, this machine also came from Colorado. This one belonged to one of Alex's friends for a while, and then he gave it to him, and then Alex no longer wanted the machine because, well, I don't know if you watch his channel, but he's not exactly the type to like stuff like this. But the good news is I am, so it's found its way all the way over here to Illinois, which is quite nice. So it is fully working. Whenever we were doing some videos with it, it struggled a little bit in some of the performance tests we were doing because this cone seal wasn't in all the way, but I since fixed that. I let it soak in some hot water. Actually, not even. I just ran some hot water over it, and that was able to allow it to stretch out enough that I was able to put it back onto the cone properly. And now it's fine. I did order a maintenance kit for it, although I haven't installed any of those parts yet. But either way, this thing is in okay shape. It's definitely very worn and definitely had some miles on it for sure. But you know, it's fully working. And this thing, from the date code that I can see on the filter door, I believe this one is from 2001. It says 01219. I assume that's the 219th day of 2001, which would make sense because I believe the Amway version of this machine, as you see here, I want to say it was discontinued in, I want to say around that time, like 03. I think that's right. And then they weren't available for a while, and then WMJ picked them back up. And now you can currently buy these under the WMJ Workhorse name and still get all the parts and accessories. I even bought a care package for this thing with some filters and some belts, which are very reasonably priced. These pedal covers always go missing though, so I might throw some tape on this so it's not well, it's not sharp, but it's still, you know, a rigid metal. So I might throw some tape on it so that way it doesn't scratch the interior of my trunk bay anymore. But yeah, this thing is in reasonably good shape. I did just, as you can see, I just washed the filters on. I just did a maintenance guide on this, which is going to go up after this video. Hi. And yeah, so the ClearTrack is... Can I help you? Okay, so this ClearTrack is working beautifully, and I'm happy to save it for sure. After all, that's in the name of the show. So these two machines, you know, after $40 and many, many hours of travel, they're back here to Illinois. Well, for the first time, I believe. They're here now. So yeah, we'll give this a run. Alright, that is one of 3 vacuum save videos down. Be sure to subscribe to see the next one when it comes out. But this was primarily featuring the vacuums that came from far away, although there are more examples of those. But they're Dyson, so those are going to be in the Dyson video that's going to come up next, as well as the video of a bunch of the crappy machines. So that's 2 of them, 2 more right there that are going to be coming up soon. This is the only Dyson I'm not going to feature in the Dyson video, just because I got it at the same time as this ClearTrack. So they're both part of the same story. So, and it's the least interesting one anyways. So, anyways, Intelitech Studios signing out. Hope you enjoyed the relatively compact vacuum saved episode. And if you didn't like it and you wanted to see more, then subscribe and more will come. Anyways, this is Intelitech Studios signing out. Have a good one. Peace.